rocking in a wooden boat.
Welcome for joining us today. We, the Maui Nui Makai Network, are the first community-based marine conservation network in Maui Nui. We consist of 7 community groups and 7 supporting organizations. Our mission is to connect communities across our healthy ecosystems in which Hawaii's people depend, and the network is a reminder of each group working hard and creating big changes collectively. Our purpose is to share and learn from our diverse experiences, lessons, and best practices to help member sites, Mālama, specific Makai areas, collectively efforts, and we like to share our messages of Mālama Aina. So today, I'll go ahead and start off with a pule, and then I'll go ahead and pass it over to Karen so she can open the speaker series, e pule kako. Our journey, Father, as we bow our heads before thee, we thank thee for the many blessings that thou hast bestowed upon us. We ask you to please forgive us for our shortcomings and weaknesses and help us through our many trials and tribulations. We ask thee to bless our speakers today from Hāʻena, and we mahalo them for joining us today. We ask to keep everyone well that is on this call and those that are not with us, that no harm or danger will fall upon them. We ask thee for you to help us in like-minded spirit to continue to Mālama our resources and stay steadfast in the work that we do. We ask thee for these many blessings in the name of thy son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Karen, mahalo.
Mahalo, Auntie Maile. Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Osuga, and I'm the coordinator for the Maui Nui Makai Network. Happy 2022. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I would like to, again, thank you for joining us for our very first speaker series of 2022. It's our 8th speaker series, and today we are thrilled to have folks from Hui Makaʻāinana or Makana to share a 5-year review of the Hāʻena CBSFA. Sorry, I have folks joining right now as well, so I'm getting a little bit distracted. Before I do hand over the floor to our incredible speakers, I do want to briefly reintroduce the network to you folks as well. If you're not familiar with us, as our chair said, we are a network of 7 community groups across Maui Nui and 4 supporting organizations as well. If you ever want to check out who those groups are and the kind of work that we do, our website is mauinui.net, and we do post on Instagram and Facebook as well. So we'd love to have you follow us on those platforms too. And our purpose together is to share and learn from each other, share lessons learned, best practices to help each other Mālama our Makai areas. This speaker series is our latest effort to inspire and inform folks and connect folks as well. And it's a companion to our Mālama Ikekai Community Action Guide, which you can also download from our website if you want to take a look at that. Topics explored in this speaker series have included case studies and experiences from Indigenous and local community groups, not just around Hawaii, but also around the world. So we've had some folks from Africa, from the mainland and the Yurok Nation, and we're just really wanting to highlight all the incredible work that is being done in Hawaii and in other communities around the world. The speaker series is held almost every month on the 3rd Thursday. We are going to be changing up our schedule a little bit, but we will be putting out that schedule pretty soon for our next upcoming speakers as well. So stay tuned and mark your calendars and share the word as well. So now I'd love to introduce our speakers. We have Presley Wan, a lineal descendant from Hāʻena, Kauai. He is the president for Hui Makaʻāinana or Makana, a grassroots nonprofit organization in Hāʻena. He has been a Hui member since it formed in 1999 and the president since 2011. Presley has 50 years of construction experience. For 40 of those years, he was a member of the Operating Engineers Union, eventually as a supervisor and a superintendent until retiring in 2012. And Uncle shared that he's never been more busy than he has been since retiring. We also have Uncle Kili'i Alapai, also from Hāʻena Kauai, and the Vice President for Hui Makaʻāinana o Makana. He joined the Hui in 2002 and has been the Vice President since 2006. Kili'i runs his own business, Kili'i's Equipment Services, that he's been operating since 2003. He's an avid lavaya and continues to perpetuate and practice fishing methods that have been passed down for generations in Hāʻena.
Did you know?
Uncle Kili'i and Uncle Presley have been instrumental in the leadership and direction of the Hui and at the forefront of establishing the very first community-based subsistence fishing area designation for the Hāʻena community. We also have with us Emily Kadiz. She was born and raised in Iliomanu and Mililani on Oahu. She attended UH Hilo for her undergraduate studies and received a bachelor's in marine science and a master's degree in natural resource and environmental management from UH Manoa. Emily's master's thesis focused on developing a community-driven marine monitoring program with the Hāʻena community. Since graduating, she has been the program director for Hui Makaʻāinana o Makana for 7 years and now has a combined research and education position under the partnerships of Limahuli Garden and Preserve, Hui Makaʻāinana o Makana, and Namaka o Nauna. In this position, she focuses on building education programs and research collaborations in the Hāʻena, Ahupua'a, Waimea, High School, and other communities across Kauai. So we have some amazing speakers today. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to them to share their story.
Aloha, Maui. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to share some of our experiences that we have had in the past, I would say, well, going back almost 20 years. So I figured we'd start from the really basics and give you a little bit of the history of the how and why we decided to do a CBSFA, our community-based subsistence fishing area, CBSFA. So it started back in 1999 when the Hui was first coming together, and we first started looking at our lands inside of this Hāʻena State Park, and the Department of Land and Natural Resources State Parks was and the state of Hawaii through along a history of condemnation of and I guess you would say quiet title was able to acquire a lot of our ancestral lands within the Aupua of Hāʻena, particularly where we are. And so while we were formulating this and coming up with a plan, okay, so the state says, okay, you guys got to form a nonprofit. And so we did, we started a nonprofit, mostly under the direction of Dr. Carlos Andrade, Chipper Wickman, who's been environmentalist extraordinaire, and some of his family, and then a couple of our traditional families from Hāʻena, the Chandler family in particular. So in this process of trying to figure out, okay, the state says, okay, you form a nonprofit, we can get you on the land. So we started doing that, and in the process of forming this nonprofit, we had to have a strategic plan. Okay, now what we're going to do, of course, we knew we wanted to clear, the taro patches, which were by this time, had 40 years of invasive species growth, in particular, like Java plum. And so anyway, in this process of, clearing the land and talking about what is our priorities as a Hui, that some of our kapuna, like Uncle Tom Hashimoto, Auntie Kalehua Hamyoung, to mention a few, said, hey, we got to start paying attention to our fish, our fisheries. And I remember, I was born and raised on Oahu, and I spent quite a few of my years growing up as in Hāʻena for summers, yeah, and then going fishing. And I personally saw how it seemed like with little see, never ends retirement. So so in that process, we started looking to say, you guys got to pay attention to this, our fishing, you know, the biomass of our fishing seems like it's declining. We're getting overfished. So our kapuna, under the concerns of our kapuna, we put that as our strategic plan. So as we cleared more and more land, and seeing what an important role, I'm kind of speeding up ahead to when Uncle Kaylee and I came on, and as the new regime of the Hui, we were looking at our lo'i, and we know that our water that it's going through our taro patch, the taro patch plays an important part of the whole health of the whole ecosystem. So we as a Hui are really look at things very holistic from Mauka to Makai. And so that in the process of clearing our taro patches and getting our awai and our muluvai back in traditional routes, that, you know, we decided to look at our fisheries again and start looking back at our, which we, by this time we had been going through the legislature. We were kind of getting kind of frustrated because it, like I said, it started in about 1999, 2000. By 2005, we were able to get legislation put through. Linda Lingo signed into law giving communities like Miloli and Mo'omomi and Hāʻena the avenue to pursue community-based subsistence fishing areas and be able to write our own rules and regulations. So that was, you know, 2000. So like fast forward now, it's 2000 and about 10 years later, right? 2015, like that, and we started making headway again with our CBSFA, and part of it was the Maui Nui network. You know, we all belong to Ealapu and the Kua, and they were able to, you know, help us run this gamut of legal hurdles. So anyway, I just you know, it's been a long road, and I think our kapuna are happy. You know, we've in our 5-year when we did have our CBSFA, every 5 years we have to do a major report, but every year we've been giving updates to the community on the biomass, and from Antikule Rogers and Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. They were really instrumental in helping us gather the biomass, yeah, and the science that we need to justify what we're doing, our CBSFA. So that was basically it. Our kapuna, under the direction of our kapuna, and I think they're pretty happy. So with that, I'll turn it over to Emily. She's a big success, part of our success. Thank you.
Hello, Uncle Press. Aloha, everyone. It's good to see some of your faces and just familiar names again. I hope you all are doing well during these times. I got to give a shout out to Uncle Mac. I see you on here. And tying him into as part of the founders of the CBSFA movement. Always got to acknowledge Uncle Mac. I'm gonna share a little short presentation just so you guys can see some things visually to show a little bit of what we've been up to for the past 5 years. Okay, cool. So yeah, thank you guys for having us. I'm just gonna go through real quick. Uncle Press had already touched up on it, but just for a little bit more specific dates and backgrounds, our Hāʻena community-based subsistence fishing area officially got approved on August 4th, 2015. The quote to the left says, the goal of the CBSFA and our proposed management plan was to sustainably support the consumptive needs of the Hāʻena people through culturally rooted, community-based management that recognizes and responds to the connection between land and sea and strives to restore the necessary balance of our native species. To the right, you guys can see a little bit of a map of what our CBSFA looks like. It has a couple different components. If you're not familiar with it, we have an opihi management area, resting area that was at least for 2 years of rest. We have our Makua Pu'uhonua, which is, as many people know, a Pu'uhonua is a place of refuge. But for us, the uncles and the kupuna, knew that area growing up as a very special nursery for juvenile fish habitat. Dr. Mehana Vaughn and many other researchers during her PhD studies and other researchers gathered a lot of this information for us through kupuna interviews to help document what areas the families wanted to make sure and how they wanted to go about creating rules to protect certain areas based on customary and traditional practices. Also shout out to Dr. Kavika Winter as well, who was very monumental in that process as well. As you can see, it's about a mile out from the shoreline, and that is a quick view of our map. I thought it was important to throw up this quote. As you guys know, Hāʻena is the first community-based subsistence fishing area designated in the state of Hawaii. We have many communities working towards this same effort. But I want to point out that one of the quotes that were really important to us during this time was that from former DLNR chair, Dr. William Isla. He said, in my 30 plus years of community service, it was one of the most moving things to see a group of community members come together in support for something rather than against something. At our public hearing at Hanalei School, we had, as you guys can see in this photo, I can't even remember off the top of my head, maybe Uncle does, but I would say we had a couple hundred, 300 maybe, guys from all over. We had our Kua folks and our Ealupu network flying in as well, so different islands represented, to really just stand as one to be there to support this movement. It was beautiful, and as you guys can see, it was a room full of supporters from all over, and that was huge for us to hear that from a DLNR chair. Really goes to show the success of the power of everybody moving together. I got to throw out this quote that Uncle Press said. Hāʻena to me is a definition of Aina Momona, and it is my kuleana to protect and perpetuate it. These are just also some photos of our uncles during the testimonies on Oahu. And again, those gatherings that Kua had brought us together to really be instrumental and monumental in moving us through the legislative process, the political process of it all. Very new for a lot of grassroots communities. So huge mahalo to Kua for guiding us in that process. I'm going to share some of the successes since our CBSFA. We are on year 6, I believe now at this point. I'm not going to give it all away because I'm going to encourage you guys. We actually have on Friday, February 11th, we are working on putting together our first public presentation of the CBSFA. It'll be held in the home of Hāʻena, where this is all happening. We're going to be hosting it at Limahuli Gardens for the families and folks to come out and hear some presentations. And then I believe on February 12th, Luna and our DAR Kauai folks are working on putting together a virtual presentation that folks can watch and be a part of from online. So since the CBSFA, we have had a successful community-driven marine monitoring program through the help of Ngā Makaʻāinana, which is Pelika Andrade, and our Nākiloʻaina team. My master's degree and my master's thesis actually focus on implementing a couple different tools of what would be best and how the community, Hui Makaʻāinana, Makana, and the Hāʻena community, how they assess how they want to look at their resources through the traditional practices and the lens of our most avid fishermen and our most active members and families who perpetuate this practice. We honor and appreciate all forms of research, and we definitely include those as tools. We've had long withstanding relationships with Ku'ule Rogers, Dr. Alan Friedlander, and a few other folks who have been seriously monumental in our research and helping us gather and get to where we are today. So those are definitely tools within our toolkit, as well as these listed here. So we have Huli'ia, which is a method developed by Ngā Makaʻāinana, which is a holistic monitoring method, Mauka to Makai, really tracking seasons and productivity, dominant trends and cycles that are happening in each month. We did this with our Hāʻena fishermen every community workday once a month. We conducted these with our Hāʻena lifeguards to get their input, and we as well incorporated Limahuli gardens for our plant guys. And that's really about, if you look at to the end of that column, it says our Hāʻena CBSFA goal was to recognize and respond to that connection between land and sea. And so we felt like this tool really helped support that. And at the end of my thesis, we surveyed all of our community members to see which tool they felt was the most effective during this process. And they all had chose that the Huli'ia method was the most successful one. We also have the imu kai, which is basically a traditional fishing practice known in Hāʻena. It's a fish trap, and we wanted to incorporate that. We didn't end up doing a monitoring method with that, but that was mostly an education piece for a lot of the Hawaiian charter schools that we worked with, Kawaikini Public Charter School. We also had some interns under Dr. Kavika Winter that came through the PIPES internship program that helped us to practice out that method and test that as a potential monitoring method, and just to revitalize that traditional practice as well. We tried to do holo holo logs with the uncles just to help document fish species, abundance, size, and location. This was a method developed by myself and Dr. Kavika Winter. We recognize that a lot of our fishermen in Hāʻena are throw net fishermen, and that the skill of them knowing what they're seeing, how many specifically, what species specifically, without even getting in the water. Uncle Mac, I know you're very familiar with this as well. Those are some of our best, that is probably the best research method we have out there. I mean, the knowledge of our kupuna, the knowledge of our uncles, and so we really wanted to build upon that. And so we developed these holo holo logs to honor our fishermen's way of kilo their resources, kilo their fish, and document without creating such disturbance. We experimented with Eva Schemel's gonad kit. In whatever we did catch, we would open them up and check their gonad, and we would input it into a equation to tell us when to help track spawning seasons. We experimented with some limu monitoring methods, but mostly at this point, we're kind of just at a place where we want to just track what limu is growing when seasonally. With the help of Kua, we did host one of the limu hui gatherings a couple years ago. So that was our limu. And then for our opihi, that has been evolving over time. I've been working with Pelika Andrade and Ngā Makaʻāinana with a method that Chris Bird had come up with that I know the Maui Nui Network is very familiar with, the Opihi Rapid Assessment. That is what we attempted to use back then a few years ago, and now we have evolved to Pelika, Anthony Mao, Kanoi Morishige are a part of the team, our Opihi team, who comes in and trains our Hāʻena community and our interns and our youth in a different Opihi method called PAC, productivity and area carrying capacity. And it's another type of OPH monitoring that we've been experimenting with as well, looking at seasonality, looking at different factors that influence OPH population growth. And Pelika will be sharing more about the findings from that at our February presentation. Since the CBSFA as well, there's been a lot to celebrate. My favorite picture is the far one on the left with Uncle throwing up his shakas. We were able to go to New York with Uncle Mac and Kevin Chang and Ulu Ching from CI, and Manuel, shout out to Manuel in here as well. It was a great a great time with everybody, but Kua had put our names in and ourselves and Hui Mālama Mo'omomi, Uncle Makai's, we received a combined award, the Equator Prize Award, and we were one of, I believe, 22 different indigenous communities that received that award as leading in innovative climate change solutions. That was a huge event and just really life-changing for us to be alongside people from all over Peru, Africa. I mean, you name it, there was a country represented there. And so that was huge. That was huge for us. And that has opened up a lot of doors for us as well on an international level. In the middle, you have some of our Hāʻena lineal descendants, next generation. That is who I work the most with. We've offered a lot of internship programs, exposing our kids to internship opportunities that look at Malka to Makai, teaching them about community-based resource management, community-based monitoring, and just getting them involved, because one of the things that we have learned and one of the things that is the most important to us, if you ask us truly when we review the CBSFA, one of the most important things is that transmission of intergenerational knowledge. If our next generation is not actively there with us, collecting data, monitoring, learning these tools with us, what is the purpose? That is a driver for a lot of us. If you ask Uncle Press, Uncle Kili'i, especially with all of them having mo'opuna now, that is really what drives us, is that the uncles have put in so much work, and the work cannot be carried on if we are not constantly involving our next generation. At the bottom right, you have Lei Wan, Uncle Presley's daughter, who is one of our Limu practitioners and experts, as well as the director of Limu Huli Gardens right now. And she has been monumental too with engaging a bunch of education schools across Kauai and elsewhere in really showcasing Hāʻena as this living school for everybody, a university for all ages to come and learn how we're doing things and what we can learn from each other. I'll just give a quick mention of some of our programs. We have had very successful programs. Our Nākilo'aina program is one of our longest programs, and it's a combined internship program as well for the summer for selected high school students that are lineal descendants of Hāʻena, as well as our we used to host these huge annual Nākilo'aina programs of over 100 people down at the Hui, down at the Lo'i, camping for a 4 to 5 day program. That was huge. When people asked us, how do we plan on education and outreach and how are we going to get everybody involved? That was exactly one of the tools we used through our education and through our programs. That is how we got families involved, coming out, learning about our rules, learning about not just fisheries management, but the whole ahupua'a. And as you can see, having little workshops of all kind, from learning how to throw a net to learning about the gonads, exposing all ages. Some of our kids were like 3, 4, 5 years old, and we were just getting them to touch and see these kinds of things. And the Hui recognize that as probably one of the most important tools is through our education and outreach programs. We've gotten a leadership program that we started with Pelika, and that focuses on just our high school kids, and we merge a lot of our high school kids from all over the island. Because I also do work in Waimea High School, we bring our north and west side kids together and try to build up our leadership within our high schools. Internships, as I mentioned, and last but not least, Kuka'i Laulaha, which is an international exchange program developed by Pelika Andrade. In the top right-hand corner, we go to New Zealand and the Cook Islands. We used to every year for an international exchange program where we would meet with other tribes, other communities, other fishermen similar to the Hāʻena community that are doing the same things. Mangaya in the Cook Islands is one of our favorite places to go, and that's the photo in the top right. Uncle Praskate got to come with us on that trip, as well as Noa Ka'amoana. And that trip was huge. Uncle Press got to attend some district meetings where they still have their traditional konohiki system over there, and every month they gather and hold meetings around the island that discuss everything from fisheries to overall health and wellness of their community. So that was, and Uncle Press also got to share what we're doing here in Hāʻena, Kauai. So a really great exchange of this education outreach that expands not just not just Kauai, but beyond. We also used to take our kids to outer islands where we had Nākilo'aina programs on the Big Island. as well. So the outreach has been, I can't explain it enough, and sorry I keep repeating it, but that's been our biggest and our funnest part too. There's been a real progression of this, and I just want to honor Uncle Tommy in this slide, from the vision and the foresight of him and our many kupuna that have had this vision, and now for all of us who are benefiting and thriving and perpetuating what they instilled in us. It continues today in multiple areas, and I know a lot of folks, when we talk about fisheries, they just want to hear about fisheries, but I think it's important to note that for the Hāʻena community, our fisheries is just a small piece of the bigger puzzle of what we're trying to do, and that is perpetuating our cultural practices, getting our next generation involved. So everything from Malka to Makai, that really for us, when people ask us to share a 5-year review, it is looking at all these dynamics. And I'm looking forward to sharing that as well in February. Pelika and I are putting together a really holistic report that reflects on all of the pieces and why it's important to a CBSFA. I will end here with one of our favorite quotes. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think that is true to a lot of the work and why we are here today, why we've gotten this far. If it wasn't for all the folks that we've named, all of you on here, it's really an effort that takes everybody, and it's not something that you can move fast at. It's something that really needs to make sure that we all move together. And I think that is definitely what Ealupu's mission and vision is, of gathering the fish and keeping them all together. If folks don't agree, Uncle Guy's backpedaled and made sure that they checked in with everybody. And if that's probably one of the biggest advice and takeaways that I could share with you folks, is really comes down to some great leadership and recognizing that it's going to take time. Not all community members are going to be on board. You're going to be up against families. You're going to be up against friends. You're going to be up against all kind big commercial guys, everything. And it's tough. And I'll let Uncle share a little bit more about that journey. But I think the most important thing is to keep the vision of the kupuna, keep the vision of what this long run is really trying to do, and to carry forth until we reach that goal, but making sure that we look behind and everybody's still with us. We didn't lose anybody along the way. Okay. If you guys would like, I'll put this link in the chat, but we have a really great video that Kuaʻaina Ulu Awamo put together for us that really does a great job of narrating the story of our CBSFA. Some of you folks might have seen it on the plane. It's at Hawaiian Airlines, plays it, I think not in, only to the mainland and stuff. So I can share that link with you folks. And then if there's any more questions or information, we have our website as well. Mahalo. I'm going to send it back to Uncle.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Hi,
I can hear you,
Uncle.
Uncle.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I had a little bit trouble with this phone, man. Yeah, I go by the sun and the moon. So anyway, aloha to everyone, and I'm very honored to be here to speak to everyone and share our mana'o of what we're going through. There was a really nice presentation, Emily and Presley. This kind heavy mana. When we gotta fight for our rights, which was born in us, and we gotta go through this war. That's the saddest part. But anyway, I'm going to try keep myself collected, and I can talk to you folks. First of all, how's that, Uncle Mac? I love you. Thank you for all you did for the start of what we must take care of. People like us, no more too much like us around. And we live in simple life, what we was taught. And here we stay today, fighting for what is right and only the right thing for us to live, to take care of our family and our people. So the challenges that I'm going to share with you guys that we went through is, we get so much issues going on. Our Hui did what we're supposed to do to take care of our part. We get a lot of issues going on here still yet. And this is 2022. Simple stuff that we ask for, people. We still cannot get them. But you know what? Don't give up. And I believe that because you know what? The minute we pull our feet off the ground, that's when they're going to take over. So we got to step out to what we believe we from, and that's from our place. What we're doing for our kids, our families out there. We get voting issues going on still yet, in Makua. I can share a little bit of what's going on in Makua. We never get our buoys set for our puhonua yet. How many years? So now we just had one last meeting come up and it came to the point where, there's only four boaters that, or 4 or 5 boaters that lost their mooring or whatever, and they cannot find it. So I told them, I said, do away with them. We don't need them over there. We get one pu'uhunua right there. Why we need boats over here by our pu'uhunua? No make sense. And what we trying to do? We're trying to take care of our fish. That's the nursery. So we get, I'm so, I don't mean to poke fingers to our chair, but I'm gonna poke the finger to our chair too. Because what we went through to get our CBSFA, that wasn't enough for our legislatures to understand what we're doing, what we need. We need you guys to help us too. We did our share. We did our share for go do all our homework, all our meetings we had with our people, all the meetings, over 75 meetings. We had public hearing, we had everything. And today, we're still fighting for help. I guess we're always going to get this, is the way that I'm going to put it. And if we don't continue to fight for this, which we shouldn't do, supposed to come automatic to us already, what we said in our precedents, we did everything. But I guess what I want to say is, this is some of the problems that we're facing right now. I have my son, them going up, they're doing Makai Watch. When you get presence in the air there, when people see you driving on the beach, patrolling and looking for wrong things to correct, whatever is happening, that's a big deal. So when they see that, people are really aware, and we get the community involved. Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna say, like, our biggest challenge is getting the state, the doke officers. We need enforcement. We can do stuff on our own. We're gonna revert back to the old days. We're going to be breaking windshields. We're going to be doing this. We don't like do that. We figure we're going to do things in the right way and get the help. Okay, we're going to change our mindset. The old days, they're not fool around the old days. I see them all, my cousin, them, hey, no waste time. Boom, you're out of here. But we're not going to go like that, they said, because we're going to get arrested. We're going to do this. You guys going to get, no. So we had changed our own mindset in doing the right thing to get the right thing. And it's still not happening. So for us, we need the help. I don't like call them state, but we got to call them state. You know what? We need the help. We're not getting the help that we're supposed to get. That is the biggest disappointment that we have. There's always one excuse. We don't have money. We don't have this. We don't have that. Well, you know what? Today, our Makai direct, we get monies from people outside that love what we're doing and see what we're doing. And they give us money. They're giving us money to go take care of our problems. And lucky we get people like this. They get good thinking and understand our livelihood and what we're going through. So for me, what I will say now is no give up though. Don't give up. Because we get everybody, we get our communities throughout our state here on the same problem, I'm gonna say. Majority probably. Uncle Mac, we're still there. We're always gonna be there for everybody. But you know, it's happening, people, it's happening, and we need to be strong and not give up because we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them. Okay, so in closing, you know, I like Mālama, everybody who has helped in our city, you know, coming here to the islands for our meetings and all that we did. But you know what? This canoe not gonna get this canoe. This nobody gonna stop this. I don't care what. We're all in this va'a together, and we're gonna make them. I like see this happen. I like see this happen, and this gonna happen. We get good leaders in our Hui. We get the young generations coming up, is stepping up to our plate, and that's the best thing to see. Is the younger generation coming up. Because now, like this, like Emily, you know, I get more open, the president get more open, we all get more openness. We not like see them suffer. We like see them enjoy what we have and better, if anything. So we keep them on the good streamline and guide them as they go. They get them because they get the right components for teach them. Okay, everybody, thank you. I love you guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kelly.
Mahalo, Uncle Kili'i. Mahalo, Uncle Presley. Mahalo, Emily. Thank you so much for sharing from your heart and sharing your experience and the encouragement to not give up. We do have just a little bit of time for cute questions or comments from folks that have tuned in tonight. And I think if you folks are okay with going a little bit over time, we can keep that conversation going as well. So you can either type any comments or questions into the chat, raise your hand with the Zoom function, or just raise your hand in your video as well. And we'll ask you to go off of mute. And before that, just so while we have everyone on still, I wanted to check with you folks, how can we find out more details about the February presentations for the virtual one as well, for those that will be off island?
I believe that we've been talking to Luna, and a public announcement does have to go out that is part of the rules for the CBSFA. So there will be a public announcement. But I believe as of right now, the virtual one that folks can join is going to be Saturday, February 12th, I believe from 9 to 11 a.m. And we will make sure, I will send the Zoom link once we get that going to the Maui Nui network that you guys can circulate.
Mahalo, Emily.
If anybody is on Kauai, you're more than welcome to join. It is open. It's an outdoor event. We're going to make sure we take extra precautions with safety, but it's just very necessary for us to host our gatherings in Hāʻena to share this kind of information. So, yeah. Mahalo.
So does anyone have any questions or anyone want to share any comments with our Uncle Mac? Go ahead.
I just like commend the gang over there, Presley, Kelly, and Emily, all you guys work. You know, it's one of my favorite places for a visit. And, you know, I like share the last time I was there. This was when the storm came in and we kind of like wipe out places over there. And that Hui's area got a little bit damaged, not as much as some other places, but the road got bust up, you know, a lot of things been happening, but I see that as something that was good that went happen because it stopped people from going over there. And mahalo Kili'i for inviting me. Well, actually we went over there to do the limu thing. And but Kili'i invited me for go all the way to him and camp down at the park. So I had that experience for go out in the morning and see all the fish. And, you know, even before that, just traveling down a road from a road, I could see all the fish on a papa. And I was thinking to myself, you know, because the road bust up and people not coming in or going to be coming in, the population will come back. And that's exactly what happened. But one of the things that I noticed right away, walking on the beach, I said, oh, wow, all these crab mounds over there, Ohiki was digging their holes again. You know, I was there in, I guess the mid 70s or maybe, no, wait, was late 80s or early 90s that I went over there. And I tell you, I was disappointed. Every single square inch on the beach was covered with footprints. Everything that belonged on the beach, the resources that belong on the beach wasn't there. So seeing the Ohiki on the sand, you know, I mean, they're going back to the original Hale, the original place where they belong. And they're reestablishing themselves. So that was something that really caught my eye, caught my attention. And that is the start of things going in a positive direction. And I think I better stop by taking everybody else's time. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. And yeah, mahalo, Hāʻena gang. Awesome job you guys doing over there. Love you guys too.
Love you, Mac. Thank you for being our inspiration. Love you for that, bro. And I just wanted to express some of again, you know, Kelly's frustration with some of the issues that we you know, in our pursuit of our CBSFA, we overlooked and saw that there were things that we wish we could have changed. But I think at the time we were thinking, you know, we're trying to hopefully, even if we had to compromise a little bit, we ended up doing that. But that's some of the frustration we've having with enforcement. And what we've been doing is, like Caleb mentioned, one of his friends who used to be a pro football player, he lives in Hāʻena, has financed a Makai Watch coordinator for us. We have funding for a Makai Watch coordinator. Right now, Hāʻena is self-regulating. The ocean is regulating the place right now, but it's in the summer times that, starting April, May, all the way to, October, November, that we have issues, with, with, let's say, bad behavior, pure and simple, and some of it is even from our own community. But so we're looking for, we're gonna have a Makai Watch, and more for educational rather than enforcement. So that's some of the things that we're doing. So anybody, any bright young people that want to come to Hāʻena and work down, we are advertising for a Makai Watch coordinator, and we have some from the community that we're looking into too. But a lot of things, like Kili said, the frustration of dealing with, not only our fisheries, but dealing with the whole issue of everything what's happening on land. We're having a lot of issues just on the land with some of our visitors. So what we were fortunate to be able, and as much as we beat up the state too, they have, to a certain degree, been a collaborative partner, state parks and even DAR and some of them, but they're working with their hands tied. So there are solutions. That's what Kaylee's saying. There are solutions, and you just got to think outside of the box and think outside of the state for some of these solutions. So that's where we are right now, the present day update for us, and we're looking forward to the 5-year our 5-year review. And and I guess that's all I wanted to say on that. Thank you.
Mahalo, Uncle Mac, and mahalo, Uncle Presley. We do have a question in the chat from Alika Garcia. He asks, how often do you conduct fish monitoring? And does DAR oversee, or is it completely community-based?
Take a stab at this question. So when I did my master's thesis, I looked into how often DAR's capacity is really to monitor across the state of Hawaii. I see a lot of people nodding. They can't do it. We know this. They're just out of capacity. And so the best thing for us has been to collaborate with them. But as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, to build off of the skills and the ways that our fishermen and our community members who practice their traditional practices and who still perpetuate these fishing, we wanted to develop a fishing monitoring method that worked for our community, that could happen more actively. So I don't have the answer off the top of my head. It's been a few years since I wrote that thesis, and once you write it, you don't really look at it again. But I believe it was maybe once a year. Don't quote me on that. Sorry, I shouldn't even say that. I'm happy to share my paper with folks that would like to see it. I think it is available through UH Manoa. But DAR does not oversee our community-based monitoring. The community, the Hui, and I think that's one of my favorite things about Hui Makaʻāinana Makana, and why I've been a part of them for so long, is that the community's always remained in the driver's seat. I don't foresee anybody overseeing us. Everybody works in collaboration with us. So all these monitoring tools that each collaborator contributes to is just a part of the big toolkit that we all work together. Another thing that I did want to mention that we have gotten to do is that a couple months ago, I hosted a Hāʻena research sense tank, we called it. And we brought in all of our different researchers who have been doing monitoring for the Hui for Hāʻena for the past 5 years. And we actually did mini presentations where each of them shared and had a real hot sense tank where we really challenged each other about like, what are we finding? And we had our local fishermen too in the room. Is that equal to what our local fishermen are seeing on the day-to-day? Are these data findings that our research collaborators have found, not that it isn't true, but does it align? Does it make sense to the people on the grounds? Does it all flow? Are we connecting? Are we correlating these things? So we had a really great SWOT analysis looking through that process and and connecting the different research that's been happening, even with Limahuli as well, what's happening up Mauka. We also had a couple months ago as well, the Hui facilitated a gathering with all of our co-managers with DAR, DoCare, DOBOR, just to check in with them as well and say and address a lot of the things that Uncle Keely is talking about, Uncle Press, and just going through that process. I have to say we've been learning a lot through this collaboration, and we're really, really grateful to have some really great people in the mix. I have to say the Hui wouldn't be working with them if they couldn't. The Hui really believes on strong pilina, strong relationships, reciprocal relationships. And so we're really grateful for all our research and co-manager partnerships and really just being real, like how Uncle Keely had said. I mean, to be completely transparent, this is what it is. This is what it takes to do a CBSFA. This is the successes and the challenges that we face. And yeah.
Mahalo, Emily. Does anyone have any other questions or comments that they'd like to share? Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I don't see any hands going up at the moment. So since it is after 6 o'clock, I'm sure everyone needs to get back to your families for dinner time. I just wanted to quickly thank everyone again for being here this evening for our first speaker series of the year. Just a quick plug for our next few events. In February, we have Koa Schultz from Koko'oiwi on our calendar. So that'll be the third Thursday of February. And then March, we will have Ron Vave from the Fiji LMM Locally Managed Marine Area Network. He also recently completed his PhD at UH. April, we're going to take a quick break. And then in May, we'll have Dr. Chris Bird from Texas A&M. He's the lead OPH researcher for the OPH rest areas that many of you are very familiar with. So stay tuned. We'll be sending out emails and posting about that as well. So I'd like to hand it back to our chair now to close us out.
Mahalo nui to all for joining us this evening. We appreciate your time. You know, people give hands, but time is irreplaceable. Money can always be replaced, but you know, we enjoy having these series and we enjoy inviting the communities that our sister communities that do the work alongside us. And I think that these little things remind us of we're not in it alone. And we may have the same challenges, right? So there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. Mahalo to Uncle Press and Uncle Keili'i and Emily for joining us this evening. Fantastic presentation. We miss you all, folks, and we love you, folks. So ahuiho, mahalo.
Mahalo, everyone. Have a good night.
Aloha. Aloha, you folks. Thank you.
Ahuiho.
Ahuiho.